Hi, folks. This is Yetmir today with Adrian and William. Here we are on another episode of Commentary Wild Talks. Today, it's the photos were sent by Aryan from Kosovo, and we are looking forward to start. So, without further ado, William, take it away.
Yeah, this is looking real good. The only thing I would change personally, in my view, would be to get rid of the square crop. I'm not a fan of a square crop. I would rather there was more room on the bottom. Apart from that, it looks good to me.
Okay, also from my point of view, the square composition, it's not the best choice in this situation because it will kill a little bit the position of the bird. So I'll try to make a crop on here, but because the area around the bird is too small, I cannot crop in the right way, but it should look like this, something like this, of course, with a little bit more space around the head and the neck of the bird. Otherwise, I like how the light is falling on that water drop in here.
Yeah,
in
the
this
tip of the
area.
bill.
There is nothing else I can do. Of course, again, I should choose to desaturate a little bit the background, so the bird will come in front a little bit more. It will be more powerful. That's all from my point of view.
Awesome, awesome. Maybe let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Osprey, yep. William?
It's nice. It's the photograph's nice. There's a lot of detail on the underwings. You're getting a good stare from the bird. But I'm not a big fan of taking photographs underneath a bird. It's a personal thing. I mean, some people like that, but personally, I would rather have sideways on or coming towards us. But yes, the exposure looks quite good here. Nice. And the background broken up with the cloud adds a bit of atmosphere to it.
Okay, from my point of view, I agree with William. I do not enjoy at all pictures taken from beneath the bird, and also shooting birds in the sky don't put the subject in a strong composition. Also, I think that the image is taken somewhere around lunch or Friday afternoon, because you see the direction of lights create that strong shadow right under the wing. The posture, it's okay, but otherwise I do not enjoy too much the composition, the angle of shooting, so on. Also, okay, I advise everybody to be very careful when editing images, because most of the time people are trying to saturate a little bit too much the image, and also the background will come in front instead of the bird.
Awesome. One thing I wanted to add to this was that this is the second image, and it seems to be slightly in a smaller side. And I remember you folks talking about the Crop 9 1980, or maybe kind of like a little fuller, bigger size, in such a way that we can also see it a little bit better. Because I imagine if we zoom in slightly on this image, it starts to break apart. So,
yes, unfortunately, the resolution is too low to increase the image on the desktop.
Usually, if I'm going to critique an image, the first thing I would ask the poster would be, how large a crop is it? You know, if it's a full frame crop, you know you've got a great image, you can work on plenty of detail. But nowadays, especially with the the different software we can get, we can actually crop a lot tighter and still get some detail in the feathers. But you shouldn't crop too much.
Okay, but we don't know if this image is.
No, I
very
don't.
good
That's what
or
I'm saying.
not.
It sometimes should be said, yeah,
Yes.
50% crop, 40% crop, or whatever. It helps as well as the camera and the exposure detail.
Okay.
Next.
Oh, next image.
Oh, this is different. I would rather have the bird, the main subject, on its own without the black-headed gull flying past. I don't think the black-headed gull's adding to the image at all. But yeah, the whites are perfect. Nice birds, good detail. The only thing I would change of it is obviously wanted to get the bird flying past. It's something different, but it doesn't appeal to me with that bird flying past, especially with the head angle facing away from us. And that's it.
Okay. Can I comment?
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, keep it.
So
keep it
from my
casual.
point of view, it's obvious that the white grid is the main subject in this image because it's on focus. So I have a problem with the position of the grid because is looking to the left. So to the left, we need more space. Actually, now the grid is almost in the center of the image, so it's a problem. The grid must be on the right side, having more space, negative space in front of the eyes.
Yeah.
On the direction of side. The other thing is that the second bird in the background, which is blurry, does not be in the image because being in flight, but also in blurry, it attracts a lot of attention. It's capture your attention because it's in flight. It has more visual dynamic. So it should be in this composition. Okay, maybe if the things were we were in an opposite situation, I mean, the focus to be on the second bird in the background, okay, it can justify the presence of the bird in flight. Otherwise, in this moment, it will capture a lot of attention. So from my point of view, it must be removed. So the grid must go to the right, okay, to have negative space in front of her and without the gull. The composition can stay on portrait mode, but I think that if we're removing the second bird, the image will be suited more on landscape format because you know it will create a much stronger composition for the grid. The grid is vertical, and vertical lines in a landscape composition are strong.
Yeah, I agree totally with that.
Unfortunately, I cannot crop the image because there is no much space to the left. So we'll stick like this.
I think he's actually chose that crop to give the black-headed gull room to fly into. If the black-headed gull wasn't there, I'm sure it would leave more room on the left. Yeah.
It could be like this. The image, it could be like this, right? But the grid in this position, in the composition.
Aye.
What do you think of the background in this case, folks?
The background is the sky. Of course, the angle of shooting is the point of shooting is very low.
Yeah.
Directly to the sky. I do not enjoy so much. Most of the time I prefer shooting from the eye level of the bird, but in this situation I see that the bird is on the top of the tree. in this situation, personally, in this situation, I don't shoot. Of course,
Okay.
there are because you know you can photograph the egret also on the ground at the ground level, so it's not like it's impossible to shoot in other conditions this bird.
Yeah.
For example, there are some birds which stays only in the tree, camouflated in the vegetation in the tree. And yes, in that situation, okay, it's okay. You can you'll not shoot from the eye level, but okay, the difference in on height must not be very visible in the image, because you lose that feeling of intimacy, you know.
Yep. Good points. Thanks, guys, for sharing those things. And again, these opinions do make a difference, because not only Aryan can hear these comments, but also the others who may have shot something similar. And it is so much to draw ideas and conclusion for future shots. So this is great. All right, let's go on to the next one. Awesome. Yep.
This is not for me, this type of photography, from, as I said before, underneath. Is that an ibis?
Yeah, the black one, I think.
Yeah, what, is that an osprey?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. That doesn't work for me, actually. It's just, it would be like a record shot, but for that, I know some people like that type of thing with a bird chasing another bird, but for me, this doesn't work at all. Sorry.
What would you suggest to, what would make this shot work, in your opinion, William?
Anything apart from the photographing the bird underneath. If they were flying past, or one was chasing the other, flying past or flying towards you, then it would be a more appealing photograph. It'd be easier on the eye. But just, I mean, some people like this, and some people may keep that and print it or whatever, but for me, it's a personal thing. I don't like these type of shots. I think there's a wee bit underexposure as well there.
Yeah.
Under wings of the ibis are blocked blacks. Maybe raise the shadows underneath the ibis. That's about it.
Okay, from my point of view, if we don't discuss about wildlife photography as a composition, it's okay. I don't, there isn't nothing to say about the composition, it's okay. But of course, I don't enjoy the angle of shooting right beneath the bird. I will say again, I do not enjoy actually birds flying in the sky. You can shoot birds in flight, but not up in the sky when they take off. Cum se spune decolare? Adriana? When the birds takes off, you can shoot the bird in flight, but not in the sky. The composition, it's not strong. The perspective, it's not okay for a bird in flight. Otherwise, also because the angle of shooting, also the light, it's not quite okay on the birds. We have only the body in the light, and there are not too many details on the wings because are in a strong shadow. That's all I have to say.
One fine line that I like to touch upon here, it's, I think at one point we've all felt that the documentary photography versus artistic photography of the same subject. Yes. I like for us, I think one of the aims at Wild Europe, it's to really try to bring a vision, sensibility towards artistic approach in our photography. So sometimes you may not have as many shots, maybe, you know, to bring, but I think it's just keeping it with that eye rather than documentary photography, where it just kind of like documents the fact that an osprey flew by, and that from that perspective, for example, that may be interesting, and that's fine. But I think that at least I speak from the what the vision and what the dream and hope of Wild Europe was, that we tend to see things artistically, in a sense that you connect emotionally with something that you see, and the approaches may change. And I think also with Adrian and William, I think this is where their angle of expertise per se, and their opinions and their rich experience they have, can benefit us all. And so to me, I think it's important to make that distinction between documentary versus artistic approach. And I'm not sure if this making any sense to you folks, but
Yeah, I agree totally with that. Everybody sees it differently.
Actually, even we talk about documentary photography, when the word photography is there, we are talking about also about an artistic approach. So of course, when you start enjoying and practicing wildlife photography, you try to shoot birds in all the conditions, in all the situations possible. It will be a success if you'll have the bird or the animal well focused, in focus, so on and so on. But as you gather experience, you have to raise your standards. So you'll not be satisfied with every approach you have. So
yeah,
we are trying here to change some standards, to make people see different the approach in wildlife photography.
If this was 10 years ago when I took that photograph, I'd be very proud.
right.
I would think it'd be great and I'd show it off on Facebook or whatever. But nowadays, if I took that, I wouldn't take the photograph. That's the difference.
Yeah. So I hope what we're doing in Wild Europe is that we are paving the way towards artistic approach, and hopefully that stands well with folks. But I think that's where the challenge and the purpose, the length of our purpose, I think will be longer, by diving in a little bit more, thinking a little bit more, and being more sensible towards what we do. It may take a little bit more work, but I think that's the challenge you're after, and the richness that you find as you go forward. So I thought I think that's an important part of that distinction. So thanks for your input as well. So what is our fifth and last shot?
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Hoopoe?
I love this bird, man. I'm dying to have a really nice shot of this bird. I still haven't had one.
The first thing that strikes me, well, the second thing that strikes me is the crop. I think it's maybe too tight, and it's lost a wee bit image quality there. Still losing it there. The fine feather detail is not showing. But the biggest thing for me is the bird is actually flying away from us. Yeah. If the angle of the body of the bird had been round, with the head further nearest us, it would make a big difference. There, the bird is flying away from us. It's like they're chasing it. I can't connect with it because it's flying away from me. But that's how I see it. It's just, as you said earlier, it's a difference in artistic views, and but I think there's been a heavy crop to start with, and it's lost some of the IQ. And some of the blacks there's no detail at all. And it's probably had an overdose of noise reduction. It's stopped the feather detail coming through. Sorry, but that's my critique.
Well, I think honesty is important in this. If it's not honest and constructive, it's
has to be honest.
No point of doing this at all.
You're not getting back in.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate the honesty coming from both of you. So that's awesome.
Okay, from my point of view, of course, again, we have a bird in the sky, but I will not insist on the subject. Regarding the composition, I think that in the composition, the bird is too low and will lose dynamic in flight. So I'll make the crop. From my point of view, the position, a higher position in the composition, it's better. It will give more dynamic to the bird flight. And I think also that it will be interesting if we can make a horizontal flip,
Ah. Uh-huh.
because now the bird is
flying
flying
away.
in the direction of how you read a composition, so it has more speed, more dynamic.
Mhm.
Okay. Some people says, okay, but we are allowed to flip image horizontal because, you know, as a documentary photography, we don't want to change the reality. You don't change anything because it doesn't matter the direction of flight. It's a
Mm.
bird in flight, so if we'll fly from the left to the right or from the right to the left, will not change anything. But I think that the composition is stronger in this situation. Of course, as William said, it's the crop, it's a little bit too much,
Mhm.
because he lost a lot of details, and can see that the image is a little bit blurry. I have also a problem with the posture. From my point of view, it's not the best posture for a bird in flight,
Mhm.
because I cannot see I don't know, the design of the wings exactly. I think that it's an intermediate posture.
Mhm.
But of course, when I said this, it's just a personal opinion. Otherwise, it's not just personal. So we'll go back from the image
Yep.
to the original image. This is all I have to say.
Yeah. I'd like to mention here that I've noticed traveling in Italy, Spain. I photographed in England, London. I photographed in Balkans, many countries. And I noticed one thing, that the birds seem to be a lot more sensitive in the part of Balkans for some reason. I think they are afraid of you, like like you get close. You know, usually I've noticed that. Like for example, I could I can shoot a mallard up close to maybe even up to 10 meters easily in Italy, in Mantova, where where I had a photographic experience. But you cannot get any closer than maybe 100 meters in Shkodra, for example.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
I think another voice of ours, which I think it's important, it's trying to bring the attention of making sure that birds are safe, calm, and that we don't bother them. Basically, I mean that as a photographer, we don't bother them, but also as other folks who may go and visit these places where their home is, their habitat. And I say that because I know that Aryan, he is a field photographer in a sense, although lately he's been focusing a lot on videography. So he does a lot of videos, and maybe you've seen some of the videos on the group. With the photography, it's a real challenge, like to get up close. It's really hard. So one of the things I think that we should bring about in our groups, in the comments, in these videos, it's just finding ways to how do we get closer?
Fieldcraft, yeah.
How do we, like things like that? What are some techniques? And I think these are the conversations that we had with Adrian as well, where I just want to announce here as well that we're trying to put a group together to perhaps go towards the end of May. We're trying to get 8 folks together in Danube Delta in such a way that we can have these conversations. We can learn from each other, lead, and also have share this experience. And like, how is it shooting in different parts of the world? How can we find ways to get better shots and stuff like that? So I like to mention that we're not just going there to photograph, we're going there to exchange, learn a lot. And it's definitely techniques, post-processing, which is so important into this photography. Gear, learning how to use our gear, learning how to create situations, maybe building hides. Adrian had some great idea of the type of hides that he uses and stuff like that, and he's willing to share them. So having said that, we welcome you to reach out and see if we can put a group together towards the end of May. We can just go and have, oh, and hey, let's not forget, let's have a great time, right? That's definitely. So having said that, any last thoughts, guys, for today?
I want to say something about you said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I observed, for example, when you try to shoot birds around cities where the birds are used with humans, the humans' presence, birds are not so shy. But when you go deep in the wild where the birds are not used with the presence of humans, of course, it's a little bit harder to get closer to the birds. So you need to observe the bird to see the area where the bird is hunting or has a nest possible, in order to get closer and closer to have a best the best approach. At the beginning, it's better, for example, you can try to go into a park, because in a park, inside the park, the birds are used with a human presence, so you can get closer to the birds in order to have a better approach. In the wild, it's a little bit different. There is a lot of work to do there in order to get closer. You have to observe a lot, and sometimes you have to learn how to attract birds where you want to in order to get the best approach possible.
Yeah,
that's
all
all I
right.
want.
Well, thank you for sharing, guys. This was just another episode. I hope everybody enjoys it. As always, please comment, engage, let us know what you think. And until next time, all the best.
Bye.
Bye bye.